Today we're going to be looking at Arctic Fox in the color Pistachio Macaron. So this video probably would have came a little bit sooner if I had just been a little bit more patient. Essentially, I saw that a certain color was winning by a lot at a certain point. So I bought that color and I waited for it to come, and then I rechecked the poll that I put up because I let you guys vote on my Arctic Fox stuff, and completely different color was winning, which was this one, Pistachio. So I had to wait for that one to get here. Hopefully the poll hasn't changed since I looked at it last, but at this point I'm committed. So first thing you may notice is that my swatches are labeled 1 through 12. I do just want to say that is not synonymous with hair levels. I do different video clips and pictures and such throughout the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. Also, my swatches are not virgin hair. That means they've been chemically colored, treated, or bleached at some point in their existences. 1 is pink, 2 is gray, 3 is like a medium natural red, 4 is a soft black, 4 to 11 is a range that goes to platinum blonde, and then 12 is a toned version of number 11. So to start, I'm going to take the color directly from the container and I will apply it to the very top of each swatch. And then some people do like to dilute their dye, so I will do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take color differently. I have gotten comments in the past about swatching pastel colors over darker hair swatches. I still think it helps people to see how it turns out. Likely it won't really turn out on anything other than 11, maybe the toned swatch and the gray swatch, we'll see. But who knows, it could kind of neutralize some of the medium tone swatches. I still think it's just fun to see what happens.
I don't think you'd believe how long I felt this way. I'm begging you to stay. And if I could show you, I'd hope that you could see all the possibilities. There could be a place for you and me. And under the stars, you pack up your car, 'cause you're going far away from here. I wish I could solve.
For the diluted section, we are doing equal parts today. So that is going to be 1 part of the Arctic Fox to 1 part diluter. And honestly, when you're working with pastels, you probably could do even less diluter, but I feel like equal parts is a pretty balanced ratio to try. And if you're wondering what diluter is, essentially it's something that lightens the color of a semi-permanent dye. Some brands like Arctic Fox do make their own version of a diluter, but to keep consistency between all my videos, I actually just use a plain white conditioner as my diluter.
There could be a place for you and me. I feel 100 degrees when you call my name. And I don't know what you see. Hope we feel the same.
So I think I'm gonna let these sit for about 2 hours so the swatches can fully absorb the color. I will then rinse it out, and when they are dry, I will meet you back here and we can do some comparisons. Of course, when I decide to start recording, a neighbor decides to start mowing their lawn. So I apologize if you can hear that in the background. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. So as a reminder, my swatches are not virgin hair. Virgin hair tends to be less porous, which essentially means it can struggle to take and it can struggle to hold on to semi-permanent color. So they usually recommend looking for more pigmented colors to use over your hair if your hair is natural. And this one's pastel, so it can be really, really iffy for virgin hair. So number 1 was pink originally. I would say if you have pink hair or you're trying to cover up pink hair, you probably want something a little bit more pigmented, because I still see pink on both the top and the bottom. Obviously the top is a little less pink than it was before. And as for color, it kind of just made it look gray in the areas that it did take. This pastel color in particular seems to be a little bit dusty, so I'm sure that mixed with them being opposite colors explains why it turned like that over the pink. 2 was the gray. Over the direct dye portion, there's a very, very light wash of color. It does look a little tiny bit more green than it did before, but it does kind of seem like the gray struggled a bit to take this color. And then the diluted section, I do also see a very minimal difference, but there is a little bit of a difference. I mean, just with 1 and 2 alone, you can kind of see how pastels are truly meant for super light, usually blondish or white hair, preferably bleached. 3 was the natural red. If there is a difference, I do not see it. It might be a little less vibrant than it was before, but that's really the only difference I might be seeing, and I'm not even sure if I'm seeing that. 4 was the soft black. Of course, there's no difference on that. Now, I could have lumped 3 in with 5 and 6 because it's sort of the same idea. They don't really look different from what I can tell. They might be slightly ashier than they were, but even looking like top to bottom, I'm not really seeing a big difference. So maybe in the close-ups that I do in natural lighting, maybe we'll see a difference. It's not until 7 that I start to see the green coming through a tiny little bit. It's also a little bit hard to describe how it looks because the green is so hard to see that it almost looks maybe just a little bit ashier, but then if I look at it long enough, I actually do see some green. So I think possibly, depending on your hair, you might know your hair better than I do. For some people who have hair that leans a slightly bit warmer, if you're looking for a way to kind of cool down your hair, this could be possibly a good option, but definitely do a strand test because being a pastel and not knowing how porous your hair is could have a range of possibilities. And then obviously as these swatches get lighter from 8, 9, 10, more and more green is visible on the swatches, with 11, the platinum blonde swatch, being the most visible. So 8, I see a little bit more green than 7. It almost has an ashy look to it. 9 is more green than 8. That dustiness is still kind of coming through. And then 10, we start to see that color better, where it doesn't look like the natural hair is just dusty anymore. And then 12 was the toned swatch. I usually like to say that 12 is between 11 and 2 because 2s obviously are gray, and it definitely took better on 12 than it did for 2, but I actually think the warmth in the 11 helped the green to look a little bit more vibrant and visible. So you probably don't need to tone your hair for a color like this. And I will say, like, I know I didn't dilute this a lot, but it being a pastel, I am a little bit surprised to see that there is actually a difference on the diluted sections just because of how light this color already is. But, you know, again, it took best on the diluted section for 11 as well. So, comparisons. I'm sure we're all dying to see what this looks like next to Arctic Fox's Neverland, so I won't keep you waiting. We'll do that one first. So this is comparable to number 12. 11, 10, and 9. So looking at the 9 and the 10, it actually is kind of hard to tell the difference. I would say Neverland is also pretty pastel, but it depends on your hair because I've heard of people who have really porous hair having good luck with the Arctic Fox pastels. But like on my swatches, I would say Neverland is still pretty light, but the pistachio is obviously lighter, and the pistachio looks pretty pistachio. Like I look at the color and I'm like, yes, that's a pistachio green. The biggest differences I can see are actually on 11 and 12. So overall, Neverland looks a touch bit cooler, a touch bit darker, and a touch less soft. Neverland is a kind of dusty-ish color on its own, but to me it looks like pistachio is actually even dustier. But honestly, when you look at the diluted version of Neverland, it doesn't look too far off. I definitely see the gray coming through a little bit more in the pistachio, but if you have hair that kind of struggles to take color, it's not as porous, something that's a little less gray might actually take on your hair better, so Neverland might be better in that particular scenario. But regardless of what you do, I would always just do a strand test, especially with colors like this. You just never know, but hopefully that helps, because I was definitely very curious to see what they looked like next to each other. They are still mowing their lawn real close to my house, so I apologize. I don't have a lot of light greens in my collection, which maybe that's a sign that I should look into that a little bit more. So the next color is not going to be pastel on its own, but we can look at the diluted section, and that's going to be for Lunar Tides in the color Beetle. So this is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. I just felt like undertone wise for the light greens that I have done, this one was probably one of the easier comparisons. I could have compared Iris as well from Arctic Fox, but I wanted to give a chance to another brand. And I also thought this was a good way to kind of see just how dusty the Pistachio is. So Beetle is pretty saturated, I would say, especially compared to the Pistachio. Moved up the number 11 just so you can see those two next to each other. Again, a more saturated color will probably get you a better result if your hair is less porous. I do think the Arctic Fox Pistachio is a very unique color. It's not something I've seen anywhere that I can think of, so that's really nice to see. So now I would like to look at these in natural lighting. So we're gonna go look at the before and after clips.
If I could tell you, I don't think you'd believe how long I felt this way. I'm begging you to stay. And if I could show you, I'd hope that you could see all the possibilities. There could be a place for you and me. And under the stars, you pack up your car, 'cause you're going far away from here. I wish I could stall, but I never call. And you're going all the way this year. If I could tell you, I don't think you'd believe how long I felt this way. I'm begging you to stay. And if I could show you, I'd hope that you could see all the possibilities. There could be a place for you and me. I feel 100 degrees when you call my name, and I don't know what you see. Hope we feel the same. I feel 100 degrees when you call my name, and I don't know what you see. Hope we feel the same. If I could show you, I'd hope that you would see all the possibilities. And there's a place for you and me.
I hope my video helped. If you have a request, I do have a Google form linked down below you can use. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals, but I'm also open to different ideas. Thank you so very much to my patrons. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.